NBA free agency is sometimes even more exciting than the game itself, especially when a team signs a big free agent and its fan base starts dreaming of a possible championship parade. But with the great expectations sometimes come with even greater disappointment. Here are the teams with the biggest letdown seasons in the past 2 decades. The 2019-2020 Los Angeles Clippers, the latest disappointing team. In 2019, the first time in franchise history, the Clippers finally made a marquee free agent sign with them instead of the Lakers or any other team, and the world went crazy. Kawhi Leonard and Paul George decided to team up and go to Los Angeles with great role players like Lou Williams, who won 6th Man of the Year award, and Patrick Beverley, who made the all-defensive team, and a bunch of dogs on defense. The Clippers were title favorites all season long, and instead of holding the Larry O'Brien trophy, the Clippers inexplicably lost a 3-1 lead in the playoffs to the Nuggets, extending the Clippers' curse. And at that time, they were still one of only 3 teams never to reach a conference finals. And the 2019-20 season for the Los Angeles Clippers was one of the sourest pills to swallow for their fans. The 2010-2011 Miami Heat. NBA championships were always formed around superstars, but that was usually a byproduct of smart draft choices or genius trades. In 2011, the Miami Heat created a monster team, the first of its kind. It was a super team based on player decisions who decided to join forces and bring their talents to South Beach. After LeBron joined the Miami Heat, they became the most hated team in the NBA. People hated LeBron in Miami, but they couldn't really say anything because they were dominant. They dismantled James' old nemesis, the Celtics, and the Bulls with the MVP Derrick Rose. Everybody expected them to do the same to the Mavericks, who had a Cinderella season centered around Dirk, and who were heavy underdogs in the finals. And in Game 4 with the Heat leading 2-1 and a double-digit lead in the fourth quarter, it seemed like LeBron's promise was on point, and LeBron's first title was gonna happen. But the Heat blew the lead and lost Game 4, and soon the series. LeBron played unrecognizable basketball, being too passive and shrunk in the clutch. It was one of the most disappointing performances by a superstar ever. When the dust settled in the 2012 season, the Lakers seemed to have the most dominant team in the NBA. Well, at least on paper. 16 years after bringing Shaq, they lured the best center in the NBA from Orlando, and to make things even more better, they also signed Steve Nash, arguably the best player in the NBA at that time. Dwight was supposed to thrive playing next to Nash and Kobe, who were aging, but still one of the best players in the game. Paul Gasol was still really good, and Metta World Peace was the perfect 3-and-D player. Metta was even bragging before the season, saying they were going to break the Bulls' record for wins in a season. And then the season begun, and the Lakers lost all their preseason games and lost their first 3 games of the regular season. And they just couldn't turn it around, and was a mid-500 team all season. Not only were they not dominant, they barely made the playoffs. Steve Nash struggled with injuries all year long, and Dwight nagging back. And shoulder injuries took away from his explosiveness, and the team chemistry was terrible. Kobe had to activate his Mamba mode way earlier than expected just for the Lakers to make the playoffs, playing almost 40 minutes a night, a huge workload at the age of 34, and was just too much for his body, and his Achilles popped just 3 games before the end of the regular season. Without Kobe, the Lakers would get swept by the Spurs in round 1, and that was all she wrote. The Lakers didn't make the playoffs again until 2020. 2015-16 Oklahoma City Thunder. Before the season started, there was a lot of questions surrounding the OKC Thunder. Everyone knew what they were capable of, but after years and years of bad luck and disappointing seasons, the hype surrounding the team was slowly dying, with the Warriors getting all the attention and coming off winning a championship, so you can see how they were getting overlooked. Despite having 2 superstars on the team, the 2015-16 season would have a lot of ups and downs, a lot of close games that they couldn't close out, and a lot of bad shots at critical moments in the game. But the team finished with 55 wins, which in any other year, that team would have been in the conversation to win a championship. During the playoffs, they would beat the Memphis Grizzlies in the first round, and then dominate the Spurs in the semifinals, and would face the Golden State Warriors. The Thunder looked amazing and was dominating the Warriors. The Thunder would go up 3-1 in the series and just 1 game away from the finals, but that never happened. The Warriors would win the next 3 games, leaving the world in shock, and making the 2015-16 OKC team one of the biggest meltdowns in NBA history. 2023-24 Phoenix Suns. Coming into the season, the Suns had a lot of expectations after acquiring Kevin Durant and Bradley Beal in the offseason. The Phoenix Suns were one of the odds-on favorite to win the championship, with their big three in Kevin Durant, Bradley Beal, and Devin Booker. During the regular season, one of the Suns' key players, Bradley Beal, would miss significant amounts of time with injuries, but the Suns wouldn't miss a beat. During the regular season, Kevin Durant would have one of his best seasons of his career, averaging 27 points, 7 rebounds, and 5 assists, and his co-star Devin Booker would also average 27 points, 4 rebounds, and 7 assists. Before the regular season ended, the Suns got Bradley Beal back and the team finished 7-3 in their last 10 games, so there was a lot of optimism with the Suns. The Suns would finish the regular season with a 49-33 record and would be the 6th seed entering the playoffs. The first round matchup would be against the Minnesota Timberwolves, who haven't won a playoff series in 20 years, and who they beat in the regular season all 3 times. But all that would change very soon. The Suns would lose the first game 120-95, and the Timberwolves wouldn't look back, sweeping the Suns and beating them by an average of 15 points with 3 superstars. The 2023-24 Suns were one of the biggest team meltdowns ever. 2003-2004 Los Angeles Lakers. The Lakers were the most dominant team in the early 2000s, with 3 consecutive titles on the back of prime Shaq, the most unstoppable physical force in basketball history, and Kobe, who grew into the best guard in the league. In 2003, they lost to Tim Duncan and the Spurs, and the team made some big offseason moves by adding NBA legend Karl Malone and Gary Payton. The Lakers looked stacked. Despite Malone and Payton being past their prime, Malone still averaged 20 points and 8 rebounds the season before, and was one of the best power forwards in the game. Payton also averaged 20 points and 8 assists the year before, and the Lakers were looking like the clear favorite to win again. But after Malone hurting his knee, and after the Kobe and Shaq feud reaching its boiling point, the team wasn't as dominant as people would have thought. The Lakers still reached the finals, and nobody gave the Pistons much of a chance, but then the lack of health and chemistry bit the Lakers in the end. Kobe was forcing things, Shaq couldn't dominate Ben Wallace, and was the only NBA center who was capable of guarding him one-on-one. And that was the Lakers' downfall. They lost to the Pistons in 5 games, and right after, Shaq would be traded to the Heat. 2015-16 Golden State Warriors. 72 wins don't mean a thing without a ring. That was the sign on the t-shirt Chicago Bulls wore in the 1996 playoffs. After completing the record-breaking 72-win regular season, the Bulls won their ring, and that record seemed to be unbreakable. And then came the Golden State Warriors 20 years later, with their small ball and best three-point shooting in the NBA has ever seen. Curry, Klay, Draymond, and Iggy led the Warriors to a 73-9 regular season, and seemed to be a lock to repeat as NBA champs. But after they won their 3rd game in the NBA Finals against LeBron and the Cavs, they looked unbeatable, and everybody thought the Cavs were toast. And then Draymond Green got suspended, and then LeBron and Kyrie went ballistic, and the Cavs became the first team in NBA history to come back from a 3-1 deficit to win the finals. And with a loss like that, the winningest season in history got tarnished, and can't be looked at as the best team in NBA history. Just ask Scottie and Michael or any other Bull from 1996. They will promptly say 73-9 don't mean a thing without a ring.